Hi, this is Sandy, and we are going to have some fun with some watercolor. I'm going to pause in between some of the steps of this, and I want you to pause and catch up. But I'm going to go through the whole thing, and I'm probably going to go through it quickly, so take advantage of those pauses. Okay, let's go. Remember, in watercolor, you've got your water back here. You've got your watercolors. You've got probably a little cake pan of watercolors, and those work just fine. There's watercolor paper, and I'm working right now very, very small, but I want you to work larger with a larger brush. The little brush that comes with the watercolor kit will not work. Okay, it's got to be a soft brush, real hair. Usually it's sable or squirrel. All right, to do a wash, I'm going to get a bigger brush. All we want is color. Let's talk about that. This one right here, that's a lot of color. And as I was looking for things to do with this watch, all I could see was a fish here, which didn't kind of work for today's lesson. So think about what you see, what makes you happy. Some other washes that for me didn't work were this one right here. There's too much red and too much blue. That's all I can see on that. It's going to be a real struggle for me to find something to paint on this. This one right here, it's too stark. The colors didn't mix and blend the way they should have. So when you're putting colors on here, I want you to think about the colors you're doing. This actually works. And this one here actually works. I could do something very pretty with this and striking with this. This is a 3-color wash. That works. But certain people in my household don't like me to paint flowers. And I see flowers when I look at those. We're not going to do that. And they didn't like fish, so we didn't do fish today. Okay, let's pick some colors. I'm going to get it a little bit wet. Be careful if your watercolor paper isn't thick, 140-pound paper, don't get it too wet. All right, let's see. I think I'm going to go with, today is kind of a cloudy day and I need sunshine. I'm going to go with this color. And I'm just going to put it out here. And let it run. Notice that my paper is on an angle. Rinse that color out, and maybe I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to go with, oh, I don't know, let's go with pink. Not a striking pink. This is called quinacridone pink. Ooh, look at that go. I like the way that kind of just goes out. Okay, I've got them both out here. And now I'm going to make them talk to each other. Just kind of give them a place to go. Notice that this is only going where it's wet. Okay, let's turn it over and let's let it go. It's not going very far. So I'm going to take and I'm going to pick up some more of this color here and just pop it in here. There, now we're going. Now we're going. I like that one. Okay, this is the spot where you could come in and you could put salt. I'm just going to add some water up here. Take that kind of move. Oh, this is looking good. But I don't want this there, so I'm going to take some color out. So I can see something coming right there. Remember that watercolor dries lighter than what you put it on. When I lay this down, I want to lay it down flat. Oh, somebody wants me to use salt. I'll reach in here and I'll say, oh, I need some salt right here. And maybe right over here. How about if we have sun rays coming down this way? Oh, now we want some of this on it. Here's my sun rays. They're coming down this way. They're starting out little, and they're going to grow. All right, now we're going to lay this flat, and we're going to let it dry. This is the time where I want you to pause. Give yourself time to do the wash and come back. Okay, we came back. My wash is over drying. It's flat. It's out of the way. And we don't want to touch it. We don't want to put our finger to see if it's dry. We just want to let it dry. All right, let's talk about some things. In lesson 7, I did an introduction to watercolor. You can go back and refer to that. In lesson 10, I showed you how to throw paint, which was basically this. And we just kind of threw the colors on. But it was a little more in depth. In lesson 11, we looked at how to actually use watercolor washes in a painting. And we did a sign. So feel free to go back and look those things over. Now we're going to use the lesson that we just did last week, or last Tuesday. We studied symmetry, axis, positive, and negative. Remember, the axis was the middle line that we folded, and everything started and ended on the axis. This side here had to look like the opposite of this side here, a mirror image. That's symmetry. We took our paper, we folded it, and we put the axis down the middle. Then we wanted positive and negative. This was painting the positive. This was painting, not painting, but we glued paper on it. This is the negative. When we paint on a wash, we can use both the positive and the negative. I will try to tell you when I'm using positive and when I'm using negative. Okay, I'm going to put this down here. Let's look at this wash right here. It is not exciting at all. I want to talk about paint. Paint comes in transparent and opaque. I can make a line here and it's sitting on top of the paint. That's called opaque. It's not going to ever go into that, and all I'm going to see is orange there. However, if I paint a line, let's go with a blue. All of a sudden, this isn't going to be a line that is sitting on top of it. This line is actually going to go into the color of the green and color it. You're going to see everything underneath that blue. You can see the different marks that the green was making. I really am having a hard time seeing the marks that the orange is making. So it's knowing what colors are going to work for you. And you might want to take and get a piece of paper like this and just put color on top of it. And let's see, is that opaque or is it translucent? That's translucent, transparent. Here's another color. Let me put it on. That's transparent too. I'm going to get another one, just one more. This is another blue. That's not transparent. So a long time ago I did these, so I would know which colors were transparent and which colors were opaque. Watercolor is a practice thing, just like crayons are practice. You have to practice to get what you want. Okay, I'm going to put this one aside. We've talked about exciting washes, things that I thought I could do with. When I do a painting off of a wash, I very rarely will draw something out. But I know that you guys need to see it drawn out. Here is my wash. When I looked at it, I knew I wanted this to be my base, my bottom, and I wanted this to be my top. So that was worked out. Now it was finding something I thought I could paint. You can go in here, like we did the fish, and say, oh, I see a fish right here. And that will be my positive painting there. Here there wasn't really anything there, but bubbles is what I saw. So now I've got to think what I want to put. What makes bubbles? Somebody blowing them, but somebody blowing bubbles on this wouldn't have been exciting. But I saw a fairy blowing bubbles. I'm not a sketcher. I don't find pleasure in sketching, but I knew that in order for you to understand it, I would have to sketch this out for you. So I made a copy of my paper and I sketched out how I wanted my painting to go. A lot of the times when I'm doing this, I know that if I put green on top of this red, I'm going to get brown. And if I put orange on top of this blue, I'm going to get brown. I don't want brown in my painting, but I want it to go away. So I'm going to use the cool colors and the warm colors and positive and negative. All right. I've got this drawn lightly in pencil. I can put that up there so you can kind of get an idea what I'm doing. And she's sitting on a flower. When I put this in here, I think I'm going to start with a blue because I don't want, she's sitting right there. I want to give her something. I'm going to start with a purple. I'm going to give her something to sit on. I'm not going to outline all of her, just where I think she's going to have a heavy point. I'm going to put it in there, and then I'm going to rinse my brush and get it wet, but not, you can see I'm washing, just wiping off the water, and I'm just going to go to the edge of that. Since she's so small, I'm going to kind of work with my other hand here because I want more shadows right here. There we go. This water, or this brush right here, only has water. you notice how I haven't outlined this at all. If I were outlining, I would go on over everything, but I'm not going over everything. Okay, I like that. I'm painting underneath my fairy. When I'm doing this negative painting, I'm seeing lines here. My thing here is I don't want to ever see a hard line. So if I start seeing a hard line, I just add some water and smooth it out. Okay, the fairy right here, we've got to pull her out. I want to put some, probably some blues back there. If I were working on a larger wash, I wouldn't be switching back and forth from brush to big, little bitty brush. But since my brushes are bigger and this is smaller, I'm going ahead and trying not to switch. I want to pull her body away from that. Okay, I like that. What goes on one side of the arm has to go on the other side of the arm. So I'm just going to take it up. Now I don't want to see any lines where this begins and where it ends. Okay, I'm going to make her wear a green little jumpsuit. So I'm going to grab some green. And where her arm is, underneath the arm and behind it, I'm going to give her a little bit of shadow. Right now, I'm painting positive. How can you tell? Positive to negative. Well, positive is my shape. It's my person. You got to kind of work back and forth between positive and negative. And you can't, my dogs are being annoying. You can't work with something that is already wet. If I were to touch this green right here to that purple, it would bleed right into each other. And I really don't want that to happen. So I'm not touching the purple. Okay, she's got some folds in her lap, probably right here. I don't want to bleed these out too much because I want them to stay folded. Let's just leave it right like that for a bit. Let it dry and let's see what it comes out like, and then we'll know what to do. So I've painted this part of her, and that was positive, and I painted underneath her. That was negative. Even though we're on the flower, we painted behind her, so it's called negative. Okay, I kind of like where she is pulled out here. I'm not going to paint behind her. Let's start on the flower. I like this color of the flower. Where she's sitting, it's probably going to be a yellow color, the center of the flower. So I'm going to leave that because I've got purple here and that purple is still wet. So now I'm going to paint the flower petals. And I know you don't really see the flower petals, so I'm going to do them one at a time. And I'm going to go behind. I don't want to get rid of all of that red. So when I paint them, I'm going to actually use another type of red. And I know it's transparent. And there's a petal here. And it comes right about here. Bleed it out. And behind it, on the other side, is another back end of the petal. Oh, that's dark. I didn't get a good brush on that one. So I'm going to go in with water. Just going to say, okay, there. I didn't want that one to be as dark. I'm trying not to destroy the color underneath it, so I'm trying not to go as dark as I probably could. Okay, here's another petal, and it's right here. I've got to be careful. I see an outline happening. I don't like outlines. Putting the color down, getting water, taking a lot of the water out, and just touching the edge of that color. You'll notice I am putting this color down basically on one side, but you can't figure out why. And if you can, I'm very proud of you. I'm getting this side of the color is right here that I've blended out. It's wet. If I were to go in there, and I'm going to make a mess of this one on purpose, if I were to go in here and try and make another leaf this way or another petal this way, what happens? It just kind of goes where it wants to go. So I'm trying to control it like that and just using one side. Did you see that piece of white right here? I want to leave that. I like that. You know, on the internet, there are so many different artists out there who give free lessons. Take advantage of them. There's an artist called, and her name is Brigitte O'Connor. She does wonderful watercolor lessons, and she has not lessons, but where you can sign up, and children, she has free lessons, but she will go through and help you paint. You pay for the lessons, but she does have some free ones. Okay, I am going to stop right there on my flower. It's now so wet, you can see the water dripping off. We don't want any lines right here, so I'm taking the lines and I'm letting them mix together. All right. Now, let's start looking at our fairy. She has wings. I love this part right here of the wing. I don't want to mess up the inside of that wing. There's not going to be any positive painting in the wing. So I'm going to go behind it. I've got to pick that blue that I know is going to, it's going to mix with this, but let you see all of these little things. It's called granulation happening underneath it. This is probably a good time for you to pause, to catch up, and just understand what I'm doing. So, pause here, get your flower in, and I'll be back. Okay, we're back. I've got this back here. She's painting. My fairy needs some positive painting on her arms. I'm going to use a pink and I'm going to mix in a gold. But I'm going to do it on the paper. That got way dark. I don't like it. At this point, I don't like it. I can take a piece of paper towel. I can put it on there. Or I can just add water. Okay. If I'm going to add skin tone to one arm, I've got to add skin tone to the other parts of her. So let's add some skin tones. That was a little bit of pink. Not going to go quite so deep this time. And then a little bit of gold. Just put it in there. She's got feet. I can see the feet. And now her face. My other favorite watercolor artist who has lessons out is Jean Haynes. Jean is all about washes and painting loose, and she has some of the most wonderful videos on how to paint roses. Check out these artists. There's also another one called Artist Network. The Artist Network has different videos on not necessarily watercolor, on all mediums. Okay. I have gone ahead now. I've painted positive. I have negative. Let's get behind this fairy wing and switch to a larger brush. And right here is her wing. I don't think I mentioned that when you're blending this color out, you want clean water. If the water isn't clean, you're getting other color in it. Okay. I need some more color there. Don't be afraid to add more color. If you're adding too much color at the beginning, it might not be exactly what you want. At this point here, I can go ahead and I can correct my shape. I can correct my shapes right here. I'm not going to do the positive, but I'll keep doing this one. Maybe up here where it's darker, we want a little, it's getting too blue to me. Let's go ahead and let's add some magenta into it. Oh, I think that would be a pretty color. I can see some color up here mixing. So maybe I just want to put a drop in, and I'm going to turn my paper upside down and let it run. Remember, no hard lines. Didn't that make a difference? The thing is about this is you don't want to add more colors than you have to. So when I added a color, I saw some of that magenta up here. That's why I chose it. Down here, when I add more colors, I'm going to have to be careful because I've got this red down here that I'm going to have to put in behind it. Otherwise, it's going to, I'll show you what happens if I put blue. I know I'm not going to be happy with this. Not as unhappy as I thought I'd be. But I think I would rather go with some of this underlying color here. I don't want it to be real obvious that these wings are back there because you know the bottom of the fairy wings, they are so light and delicate. The top wings are what makes her go. This right here is the color of her outfit, and I'm not really painting the outfit, I'm painting the negative of the wings. That was just dirty water. That was only dirty water that I put there, and it made a shadow. All right, we need something to pull this back wing apart. How about some more of that dirty water? And I'm not going to, this will almost be a positive painting right there because I'm painting the wing. Why am I moving my paper? I want this to go where I want it to go. I know I've got water here, and it's going to spread out and fill in all of those little water patterns I've got. Give it some place to go. Okay, I like what I see. I see a wing. I see a wing. Just barely a hint of a wing. I see the large one. But you know, there's two wings back here. So I probably have, and I don't think I put it on this picture that I drew. I probably have another wing up there. What color do I want it to go? Let's go with a little more of that purplish magenta color. And let's say the wing is back there. Goes like that. I want to control where I want this going. Get some clean water. And behind it. Just a hint of another wing back there. I don't have to draw it all in. It's coming. All right, this is not dry. I've got a fingerprint now. It's probably better to pause right here and let this dry so we can go on. Okay. We're back. We are going to paint the bubbles that she's making. Remember when we did our eggs and we put color in and we let it just go where it wanted to go? That's what we're going to do here. I'm going to find the negative of the bubble. A lot of color I got here. I don't want that much color. More water. Okay, here's my bubble. Right here, I'm going to see something behind it. Get some clean water and bleed it out. On the inside, I might see some of the colors that I see all around her. Maybe right here, I'm going to get it a little bit wet, and I'm going to see some of that pretty flower color. I'm just going to lay it in there. I don't want to put too many colors in here. I just want to see the colors that we're using. Don't take away all of the whites that we've got going here. All right, now let's go over here. I'm going to get some of the color behind it. Some clean water. Bleed this out. By bleeding this out, I'm taking a lot of that color out after I put it in there. And while I'm at it, I'm going to just get the bottom of this one. Now let's paint the inside. This one is going to pick up some of this yellow down here. And probably some of that blue up here. Yellow and blue make green. We don't want this to turn green. So I'm not going to let them mix together. Just going to give it a ray of sunshine. Okay, let's go ahead and let's just get this one blues. And maybe a little bit of magenta. This is going to be a much longer video, and I want you to see how I'm working it. So I'm going to have a lot of pauses for you to pause, catch up, get rid of it, get ready to do the next one. So at this point you can pause. This needs to dry. I'm going to look at this and I'm going to see exactly what needs to happen that I don't like seeing what's happening. Okay? Pause. Okay. Do you see how I've got some of that backwashed up into this? I like that. It means I'm seeing what's underneath it. When I look at this really does not look right. But I think the reason it doesn't look right is because she doesn't have any hair, and fairies have hair. When I draw hair, it's not like I'm going to take and I'm going to put a big blob of hair. The hair is going to actually curve from a starting point the way your hair would grow. And we don't have to fill in what is underneath here. We just have to give your viewer the idea that, yeah, I know there's hair there. But what color shall we make it? Half of me says we're going to make purple hair because it's a fairy. We don't have to have blonde hair, and we don't have to have red hair, and we don't have to have brown hair. How about just plain purple hair? That looks like it would be fun. This fairy's all about fun. My fairy is dry. If I were to try and put purple in this and it was wet, the whole thing would be ruined because the purple would bleed. But we're not going to do that. Okay, it's looking kind of flat to me, so I'm going to pick up some magenta. Why would I pick up magenta? Well, because we know that purple is blue and red. Magenta is a red, and I've got purple. And I'm going to have a little bit of a bun here. I may even put some blue in there. Just let it come out. Boy, she's going to have some of the prettiest hair. And it's going to have this ponytail right there. I'm going to let it come down and then roll over. Now let's go back to some purple. Everything comes from one spot right here. Okay, that's all we're going to do there. We're going to let that dry. She is holding a bubble wand. It's going to go through her hand, almost like a fairy wand. And she's going to have that wand there. And we're going to let it lead off, just like that. I want a bigger edge on this one right here. So I'm getting a little bit of that purple just on one edge. I'm making it a little bit darker. I need some color underneath, or something underneath here to let her sit on it. But I want it to be kind of textured. So I'm using some of that gold that I have. And I'm putting it on a little thicker than I did before. Okay, I want to get a little bit of dark underneath here. So I'm going to wet down where I think I want the dark to go. And then I'm going to put some of that blue down there. See what color I get. I want this to go away. Okay, I've gotten it wet where I want it. I'm going to take some more concentrated blues here. And I'm going to just drop it in. Bleed this out this way. I don't want a big line there. And I'm going to let that dry. And in the end, I may come back after it's all dried and give it some more. Okay, I didn't like that. Let's just take it and blur it out. Okay, see how I'm not seeing a lot right here? That's got to be more exciting. I'm going to have to go in with this color here and give it some lift. If I ever did this again, it would be on much larger paper. It's kind of hard knowing that I shouldn't be working with a small detail brush. Okay, up here, this is dry now. Something needs to happen. She's just got to have a shadow underneath here. So I'm painting positive. Maybe right there she needs a shadow. Okay, well right here, I've got to decide where her neck is, and I better give her a neck because it looks like her head's just sitting there. I'm probably going to have to come in later and redo that because I'm not seeing the neck the way I want to. That's better. Then I'll come back in later and put in her outfit. Okay, I want a little more line right here, a little more definite. That's negative. I am just letting it bleed out. What happens on one side of her, though, happens on the other side. So you can't just stop a line because there's an arm. Whatever's beyond that arm is beyond that arm. There's something right here that's going to have to happen. I know where it is. I'm not going to see that much of her back because she's got her wing coming over her hair. So what am I doing? I'm taking water and I'm not scrubbing. I'm just adding enough water so this diffuses a little bit. So it looks like that's a wing. I can see through the wing because that's what fairies' wings are, translucent. I can still see her hair. It's there. And I can see her back right here. Okay, I'm going to put a few finishing touches on this. I'm going to put white after this is all dry to give her some veins on her wings. I'm going to fix this outfit here. I might put a couple more indications of color in the bubbles. I might put another bubble up here. And then I'm going to really pull out some of these petals to make you really see a petal here and there. But I'm not going to do all of the petals. So, let's pause it. Let's let this dry, and we'll get back to each other. Okay, time to finish her up. While I was gone, I went ahead and looked at what I had done. I had that wing behind all of her hair, but her hair's actually in the middle of the two wings. So I had to pull out some of that, and all I did was add water. The water kind of diffused it. This looks like the hair was, and this is behind the wing. I corrected the shape of the arm. I had the hand on backwards, so I had to correct that. And then I gave her more of a center to sit on. When I went down here to pull out the petals, I found that I liked using the same color I had, but I used it behind. I liked it better than introducing some of that blue down there. I pulled out one more bubble, and I might pull out another one. Now we need to put the veins in on the wings. The wings are dry, and I'm using white gouache. It's a water-based white, and I generally don't use white, but we've got to use it here. I don't put the white in my tray because it turns a chalky, and it'll ruin my the brightness of my watercolor. I go ahead and I've got it out here on a piece of paper. I'm diluting it a little bit with water. And maybe I've got a wing comes this way. You have to decide how you want to put the veins of your wings. The white is going to dry, and you're still going to see color behind it. So you're going to have to be mindful that you might have to give it 2 coats. See, most of this disappeared on me already, which is why white isn't very good to use. Maybe on some of these, we'll have a little bit of a white spot. All right, now I'm going to look at her. I'm going to have to strengthen some of these whites again. Where her fairy wings connect to her body, I'm not really liking what I'm seeing. I think they need a stronger connection than what I've given her. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give that stronger connection. This, if you want to think about it, is negative painting of the wings, positive painting of the shirt. We're painting behind the wings, making it darker, but the shirt, we're giving it more color. So I know it's kind of confusing negative and positive, but you got to just think about what you're trying to achieve. So yes, we're painting the positive on the shirt, but actually we're painting the negative on those wings. Now if you'll notice, I'm even going to put some blue in here, or purple maybe, because I really want it to go behind there. I'm not really painting anything, as I'm just putting a spot in and letting it diffuse itself. Okay, do I see any other bubbles? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bubbles, but it's almost like there has to be another bubble coming off of here that she's blowing. So let's put some color there. I haven't painted the circle. And then let's let it go away. Needs a little more color there. So not as much water. And I think I'm done. I think anything else that I have to do on this picture isn't really necessary. I like messing around with it, so sure, I could sit here and I could play. And I could say, oh, I just want to do another leaf here. But was that necessary to tell my story? No. Not necessary at all. It just means that I'm not ready to leave her alone. I want to play with her. So you have to decide when your story is told. And I think my story is told. We have a fairy who absolutely loves to play with bubbles. Okay, here's another. I want to show you that I did not work with a wash on this one. But I did negative painting to create the leaves. So I don't need a full wash in order to do my painting. I can just use partial washes. I can just have some color down and decide, oh, that looks like might be a leaf, and then show you where the leaf is. So we've covered a lot. This is a long video. Please take the pauses in it to heart when you're working with it. And I really want to see exactly what you're doing. And I think because of that, I'm going to raffle that painting off. You want to win this painting? Show me some of the artwork that you've created and you'll enter. I will give you 1 month. So it's May 7th. By June 1st, if you have any artwork posted, you will be in a raffle. Now post your artworks under the comments. If you want to make sure I've seen it and I've acknowledged it, just message me. If you have trouble putting it on, let me know and send me it in a JPEG and I'll put it on for you. Okay. I want you to be the one to win that. See you next time.